Hey, what is up YouTube? It's Overlord here, and today I want to talk about what is, in my opinion, one of the best weapons in Battlefield Hardline, and probably the best weapon for the mechanic class. So the weapon that I chose was actually the P90 because of its versatility on the battlefield. The weapon has a 51 round magazine and a 900 round per minute fire rate, making it extremely good in close quarters and can be effective at longer ranges thanks to its larger magazine. Now I am using the Battlefield 4 stats as a placeholder because they actually haven't released the stats for all weapons in Battlefield Hardline yet. Now the actual weapon in-game does give us some statistic. It actually tells us the fire rate for the weapon, which happens to be 900 rounds per minute. We divide that by 60 and that gives us our rounds per second, which is 15 rounds per second for a fire rate. Now if the stats stayed the same in between Battlefield 4 and Battlefield Hardline, then that's 21 damage per shot at close range, and it drops off to 11 at longer ranges. Now despite this weapon actually having a very high fire rate, it does have very manageable recoil. As you can see in this clip here, the P90 has almost all of its recoil pulling upwards with a slight pull to the right. This makes the weapon extremely easy to control when fired full auto, and is even easier when fired in short, small bursts as well. Now using Battlefield 4 stats as a placeholder, the drop-off range begins at around 8 meters and ends at 60. So for maximum and minimum damage per second model on both ends of the spectrum, you would have a 315 for a maximum and a 165 for a minimum. And to keep this weapon at a 5-shot kill, you generally have to stay in a close quarters combat environment within the 8 meters, but that's exactly what this weapon is built for. And because of its larger magazine and high fire rate, you can generally take pot shots at people at longer ranges. You just have to lead your shots just a tad. Now speaking of leading your shots, the P90 does have a 460 meter per second muzzle velocity, which is relatively good for SMGs. So you don't necessarily have to worry about leading your shots too much whenever you're shooting at someone, unless they're really far away, which at that point I would say save your bullets, save your ammo for somebody else. If you do happen to waste all your ammo taking pot shots at someone who's really far away, then be worried that this weapon has a 2.45 second reload time, or the weapon still has ammo left inside it, and a 3.45 second reload time, or the weapon is empty, giving it a rather long reload time. So make sure you reload after every 2 or so kills. Now I am sure that comparatively it's slightly lackluster in the reload department compared to other SMGs, but this P90 probably has a better muzzle velocity, it has a larger clip, and it also probably has better stability comparative to other SMGs. So I do say that this weapon does probably stand out whenever you compare it to other SMGs. The only really drawback, as again, is that reload time. Overall, this weapon should actually be able to outstrip most other weapons, whether it be an SMG or an assault rifle at close to medium range, thanks to its high fire rate, clip size, and easily manageable recoil. Now the attachments that I usually put on mine are the silencer, the laser, and then any sight of your choosing, but I prefer the hollow sight. Now the silencer actually does make a very large impact on the weapon itself, so I am going to put the stats up on screen so that you guys can see it, and see how it impacts the weapon, and decide if you want to use the silencer on the weapon or not. Now the silencer, the only really thing that it does is it reduces the muzzle velocity of the weapon by 44%, almost 50%, which is bad, but not quite as bad, seeing as again most of these maps are probably going to be small and more infantry oriented, and then it increases the actual hip spread whenever you're standing, crouched, or prone. So the drawbacks for the silencer aren't quite as bad as one might think, so I would most definitely stick with it, but if you don't like it, then feel free to use anything else that you please. And finally, I'm going to put up all these stats on screen, which include the time to kill, spread, etc., in case I didn't make myself quite clear. So overall, the P90 has a 21 damage per shot maximum, a 11.2 minimum. The drop-off for the damage starts at 8 meters and ends at 60. It has a fire rate of 900 rounds per minute, has a 460 meters per second muzzle velocity, a 320 meters per second muzzle velocity when suppressed. Its magazine size is 51. Has a 3.45 second reload whenever it's fully empty, and then whenever the ammo is left in, it has a 2.45 second reload. And finally, the general time to kill for this weapon at close range is probably going to be around 269 milliseconds, and then at its longest, which is say 150 meters, it's going to be 859. So overall, this is a relatively good weapon, and I really hope you guys enjoy the video. I do realize that this is a beta, so there is some tweaking to be done with the game, and we can expect some minor adjustments in the guns to be done, but I just kind of wanted to do this to point out what in my opinion was probably one of the best weapons in the beta. So, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. As again, I will see you guys next time, and this is Overlord signing out.